When we're practicing our basics, it is sometimes easy to let the fundamentals of those basics slip. And keep in mind, right, the fundamentals actually build why the basics work and how we can use those to build onto the next thing. I have a much older video describing what the difference between basics and fundamentals are. It's subtle, but it does matter. And understanding the fact that when you get fatigued, when you get excited, when you're under stress, that things are going to slip. I mean, it's just a natural thing. We're organic creatures, subject to the whims of the variability of reality. Like, you are not going to perform exactly the same day in and day out. You are going to have some variability. We have to make sure that we're checking ourselves from time to time. We all do this. We all go through it. And while I'm probably not going to turn this into a series or anything, I like doing these kind of fix-it videos just to point out some of the common errors that I see, that I come across as a teacher and as a fairly well lifelong practitioner of the martial arts. And keep in mind, right, most fights are won by what we would consider very poor technique. It's not like technique is some magical fix-it for things. It's that technique helps us stay more consistent in our training, and in general helps us be safer than we would otherwise, right? It's a North Star, it's a guidepost, much more than an absolute. Now, what we're talking about today is going to be hook punches, and one of the biggest errors that I see. Now, I'm not talking about cocking back or dropping your hand, which we all know better than, right? You do know better than that, right? Well, what I'm actually talking about here is how people are actually separating their core mass from their arm, especially on the impact. And a lot of that, this can happen in one of two ways that we see. Very, very, very often, what I end up seeing is people start off with everything connected, because that's what we're taught. We're taught to get that rotation of everything going all at once. And then when they make that contact, their body keeps going, but their fist starts slowing down. This introduces a lot of stress and strain in the shoulder. And while I cannot tell you that it is going to lead to injury or anything like that, the fact is that it is a weaker position. I mean, you don't bench press like that. You don't do push-ups like that. If you do, stop it. You need to have a much more cohesive linking of the arm to the body for good structure there. Now, my preferred way of teaching, the way that I best understand it, I actually, if I have my arm at a roughly 90-degree angle, the way that I'm going, I like to have my fist about in line with my center line. Now, I like tight hooks. I come from a background of doing tight hooks. I learned tight hooks from the beginning. And transferring into Wing Chun, everything is tight. Studying Jack Dempsey and some of the older bare knuckle masters, it was tight, it was not long. I'm very much of the school of thought of your baseline hook should be tight. Now, there's a place for long or wide hooks. That's fine. That's another story for another time. But if I'm holding my arm at roughly 90 degrees, when I do this, I like my fist to be roughly on my center line. This ensures that I have some good structure, but it also means that I have a little bit of extra play if I need it. If I have it out here, then I don't have any extra play. There's a limit to range of motion if you start pushing backwards. Now, the other way that this happens is people will start moving their body too soon and they'll slingshot their punch in. Now, that's not as bad on the landing, but it makes the punch way too wide, of course, right? That's a more of a tactical issue. But then the other side is if the punch gets stopped short or whatever, then you're still landing in that stretched position, which again could lead to some stress and strain. Now, I don't want to catastrophize you, right? We're not saying this is inherently going to lead to injury or even just general pain. What I'm saying is that having that shoulder unlinked from the rest of your mass is going to make it so your arm is basically only landing with the arm. It's not landing with any additional mass. and whatever kind of speed you thought you got out of it, or whatever kind of power you thought you got out of it, you're actually bleeding off in accessory motion that's not contributing to the punch. So whether or not it causes injury is almost immaterial. It's more about the efficiency of the strike itself. And so what ends up happening, right, is if I'm here and I'm throwing this strike, when I come in, right, if I am doing this landing is not comfortable on the shoulder at all. But more than that, where's my body going? My body's going that way. My punch is over here. They might be moving slightly parallel, but they're really not. My body's creating an angular momentum, whereas my punch, because of this line, is landing in a parallel line. So really, my punch is going one way and my body's going the other way. I am bleeding off so much power, really so much force, right? So much momentum. I'm bleeding all of that off by sending my mass in the wrong direction. And this stretch is not going to really add anything to it other than shoulder strain. So when I hit, I much prefer, when I do this, it's a small motion, right? Tight hooks are always going to be small motions. But when I'm here, it's just there. And I'm landing here. Now, I don't want to hear any arguments about vertical fist versus horizontal fist. It's a stupid argument. It's a dumb argument, whatever. Do it however you want. If it works, it's not wrong. I don't care about that. But the point is that as I'm hitting, it's my hip, it's my shoulder, it's my mass that's doing the job, right? If I were to just stand here, I'm going to put my chest off axis, right? My center line is slightly off axis, right? If I were to just punch with my arm, it only lands with so much, right? If I were to lock my arm and use my hip, actually hits with a bit more. Now, when you put that small arm flick in with the body, you actually get something that lands with quite a bit of authority. And you can translate that out to your wide or long hooks, and you can translate out to some of the others. But it's just about not disconnecting that mass. Keep your mass connected. Grandmaster Kwok loves to say, consider that your hip and your elbow have an iron bar connecting. And I think that's a really good rule of thumb. It's a really great way to visualize it. Now, an iron bar would be really restricting. I think that there are probably better ways to think of it, but like that Aztec spear, was it the atlatl or something like that, where they have this rigid stick with a cup on the end of it, and then they put the spear in that, and then they whip it, right, for extra leverage. It's kind of like that. Your body is that base catapult, and then your arm is the spear, right? And so you're catapulting the spear out. The thing is that the catapult's not lagging behind. The catapult is moving the thing from the get-go, right? So you're borrowing that momentum from all of the main bit of mass, and then you're accelerating on top of that, additive momentum like that, and that it creates an incredible amount of momentum and force for that collision that you're creating with a strike. Be mindful of where your mass is and where your structure is when you're striking. And I will say it 1,000 times. Yes, most fights are won by very poor technique. We teach technique, we teach structure, we teach these like pristine fundamentals because we want you to have the best chance at building something that is a well-oiled functioning machine, right? The better your tolerances are when you're training, the more accurate you're going to be, the more precise you're going to be when it comes to the rest of it, assuming you're training correctly. And again, that's a whole other story. All right, I'm done rambling for now. I will talk to you guys later. Good journey. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Share this with your friends or anybody else who might be interested in this kind of content. If you happen to be in the Metro Phoenix area, come in for a class or just stop in to say hi, we'd love to meet you. Definitely check out our socials and our website that has all of our contact information and all of the other relevant information. And more than anything, check out our Substack. Our Substack will be containing all of the links that we use to cite and reference in our videos, as well as exclusive training content that will be available for premium members. Memberships are cheap, but you can also sign up for free, and we do have articles for free, and we will have more free articles available for you. It is a fantastic platform for what we're doing here, and we hope to see you over there. So I will talk to you guys later, and look out for the next one. Good journey.